Humanity is a walking safety hazard with a diploma. We cannot follow instructions. We cannot stop poking things. And somehow, that is exactly how we invented half the world. Seriously, if you ever feel unproductive, just remember this. Entire civilizations were built because someone spilled something, burned something, or mixed the wrong thing while yelling, "Oops." Welcome to 22 Accidental Inventions That Should Not Exist. A tragic documentary about how humanity keeps tripping over history and landing on world-changing discoveries like it is some cosmic slapstick routine. In the next few minutes, you are going to discover that your favorite foods were born from disasters, iconic technologies came from accidents, and some inventions only exist because the inventor was having the worst day imaginable, which somehow became humanity's best day. Prepare your brain. This list gets dumber as it goes. Alright, let us open the catastrophe folder. Item 1 is the kind of invention that proves the universe is running on comedy mode. 1. The microwave that started with a melted candy bar. Imagine being a normal engineer just minding your business. You are working around radar machines the size of refrigerators. Everything is loud, everything is dangerous. Everything screams workplace safety violation. Then you notice something strange. Your chocolate bar is melting in your pocket. Not because you are hot. Not because you are stressed. But because the machine behind you is literally cooking you like a leftover dinner. Most people would panic. Most people would run for their lives. This man said the historical version of, "Wait, let me cook." He grabbed popcorn. He put it near the radar. It exploded. He celebrated like he discovered fire. And that is how humanity invented the microwave. A machine born from a man who accidentally turned himself into a human burrito. Imagine discovering an entire industry because your phone overheated in your pants. The first microwave was so strong it could probably cook your house. But sure, let us call that a harmless kitchen appliance. TWO. The sticky tape that failed its own purpose. Next disaster. A man tried to create a strong adhesive. Something powerful, something durable, something that could hold the world together. What he actually created was the opposite. An adhesive that refused to stick to anything except your dignity. This thing had one job. It failed spectacularly. It was so weak it made wet paper look confident. He tossed the formula aside like a failed science project. Years later, someone else said the historical version of, "Wait, this trash might be useful." They put the weak glue on tiny paper squares. They stuck it on a desk. They peeled it off. They stuck it again. Boom. The accidental birth of sticky notes. The global symbol of procrastination. The official currency of office workers who pretend to be working. Imagine you try to build a rocket and only end up inventing bubble wrap. 3. The ancient smoothie born from pure idiocy. Let us travel back thousands of years to a group of people who discovered alcohol the same way humanity discovers most things. By accident, and by being unbelievably irresponsible. Ancient farmers stored grains and fruits in big clay containers. Then they forgot about them. Rain got in. Nature said, "Let me stir this disaster." Fermentation happened. And suddenly the container was bubbling like a witch cauldron. Any reasonable person would say, "This looks toxic." "Throw it out," ancient humans said. "Drink it." Of course they did. These people invented civilization while barefoot. They drank the weird fermented sludge. They got dizzy. They saw the sky move. They said, "This is wonderful. Let us do it again." That is how beer and wine were born. Imagine someone leaving juice in their fridge for too long and calling the mold a business plan. Humanity tasted rotten fruit water and said, "Yes, this will be our culture." 4. The safety glass invented because someone was terrible at cleaning. Next up. One man proved that laziness is sometimes a world-changing superpower. A chemist had a glass beaker. He spilled liquid plastic in it. He said, "I will clean that tomorrow." He did not. Days later, the beaker fell off the table. Instead of shattering, it bounced. Like a rubber ball. Because the dried plastic coated the inside. He stared at it like it was magic. He dropped it again. Same result. He probably thought he had unlocked wizard powers. He had accidentally discovered safety glass. The stuff that prevents your windshield from exploding into your face when a rock hits it. Imagine inventing an entire safety industry because you refused to wash your dishes. The world was saved by a scientist who did not feel like cleaning his mess. Truly the most relatable genius in history. 5. The pacemaker invented because someone messed up the voltage. Picture this. A scientist is trying to build a machine to measure heartbeats, not fix them. not control them. Just measure. Simple, harmless, easy assignment. Then he wires the device wrong. He sends way too much electricity through it. The thing starts rhythmically pulsing like it is DJing a rave. Nearby lab animals suddenly have their hearts sinking to the machine like they are in a medical dance class. That moment when every researcher in the room said, "This is either a miracle or a lawsuit waiting to happen." Instead of shutting it down, he leans in. He realizes he has accidentally invented a device that can regulate heartbeats. The Pacemaker. A machine that literally keeps people alive today because someone made a math mistake. Imagine discovering life-saving tech because you forgot how batteries work. Humanity owes its heartbeat to a man who should have double-checked his wiring. 6. The superglue that was. Supposed to be anything but glue, here comes another masterpiece of accidental brilliance. A chemist was trying to create clear plastic for gun sights. He wanted something smooth, something flexible, something war-related and dramatic. Instead, he created a substance that stuck to everything. Everything. Hands, tables, tools, his coworkers, probably his sanity. He hated it. He cursed it. He threw it aside because it ruined every experiment he touched. Years later, someone gave it another look and said, "This stuff is a nightmare." Which means it is perfect. Boom. Superglue. An adhesive so strong you only ever use it when you are desperate or about to regret something. Imagine trying to invent a window but discovering the universe's strongest sticker instead. Superglue was born from scientific failure and rage, which is exactly why it works so well. 7. The chocolate chip cookie invented because someone failed baking 101. This one feels like the universe rewarding incompetence. A baker wanted smooth chocolate cookies, fancy, elegant, perfectly melted chocolate throughout. She chopped a chocolate bar and mixed the chunks into the dough. She assumed they would melt, blend, disappear into silky chocolate perfection. They did not. The chunks stayed chunky. They held their shape like stubborn little bricks. The cookies came out looking like edible gravel. She took a bite. She realized she accidentally created the greatest dessert humanity ever tasted. The chocolate chip cookie was born, not from skill, not from precision, but from a baker who misunderstood how melting points work. Imagine trying to make a smoothie but accidentally inventing ice cream. Humanity's favorite comfort food exists because someone messed up basic kitchen chemistry. 8. The artificial sweetener. Invented by a scientist who forgot to wash his hands. This story is the definition of that should have killed you. A chemist was experimenting with coal tar. Derivatives. Yes, coal tar. The opposite of edible, the opposite of safe. The opposite of "let me taste this." He paused the experiment. He ate lunch. He noticed his bread tasted sweet. He thought he was hallucinating. Then he realized the sweet taste came from the chemicals on his unwashed hands. Instead of panicking like a normal human, he tasted the chemicals again on purpose. Science apparently has no rules. He had accidentally created saccharin, one of the first artificial sweeteners on Earth, a food additive discovered through reckless hygiene. Imagine licking your phone screen and inventing a new soda flavor. Artificial sweeteners exist because one scientist did not believe in soap. 9. The matchstick invented because someone was too lazy to clean his stick. This one is a masterpiece of human laziness. A chemist was stirring chemicals with a wooden stick. He finished the experiment. He should have cleaned the stick. He did not. He tossed it aside like a guilty toddler ignoring chores. Days later, he comes back. He tries to scrape the dried chemicals off the stick. The friction creates a spark. The stick bursts into flames like it is auditioning for a fireworks show. He stares at it. He blinks. He realizes he has invented the modern matchstick, a global fire starter. A tool responsible for campfires, kitchens, and 1 million questionable decisions. Imagine creating an entire industry because you refused to wash your spoon. Human progress was advanced by a man who said, "Cleaning? No thank you." 10. The X-ray machine invented because someone forgot to block. The light the next accident is so wild it sounds fake. A scientist was experimenting with weird glowing tubes that emitted mysterious rays. He was supposed to test the effect on screens. He was supposed to be careful. He was supposed to be normal. Instead, he left a photographic plate in the room, uncovered, unprotected, basically begging for chaos. The next day, he checks the plate. It has the shadow of his bones on it. Not a blur, not a smear, his actual skeleton. Imagine seeing your own bones without dying, and that is nightmare fuel. He accidentally discovered X-rays while trying to do literally anything else. Imagine inventing medical imaging because you forgot to close the fridge door. X-rays exist because a man left his equipment lying around like a teenager's bedroom. 11. The ice cream cone invented because a chef ran out of plates. This invention screams peak human improvisation. A street vendor at a fair was selling ice cream, huge crowds. Hot day, business booming. Life was good. Until disaster struck. He ran out of bowls. Any normal person would close the stand, take a break, go home, re-evaluate life choices. Instead, he looks around like a man searching for divine intervention. Next to him is another vendor selling thin, crispy pastries. He grabs one. He rolls it into a tube. He dumps ice cream inside. And he hands it to a customer like this was the plan the whole time. The crowd goes wild. People love it. The ice cream cone is born. All because someone was unprepared. Imagine inventing the iPhone because you misplaced your charger. Humanity tasted edible dishware and said, yes, this is the future. 12. The implosion of dynamite that accidentally saved many more lives. Let us talk about a man who kept blowing himself up for science. Alfred Nobel was experimenting with nitroglycerin, a liquid so explosive it makes angry toddlers look stable. He kept trying to stabilize it. He kept failing. Things kept exploding. His lab probably looked like a Michael Bay movie. One day a container of nitro spilled onto some sand like a sad little puddle, but it did not explode. It hardened. It stayed stable. Nobel blinked. Slowly, he realized the sand absorbed the shock. That accident became the foundation of dynamite. A strange invention that made blasting safer, even though the word safer explosive feels like an insult to physics. Imagine discovering seatbelts by crashing your car into a pillow. Humanity owes controlled explosions to a lucky spill that did not kill anyone that day. 13. The pacifying laughing gas discovered because a chemist wanted party tricks. This one is peak historical clown behavior. A chemist was experimenting with gases. Serious science, important research, high stakes. Then he inhaled one of the gases by accident. He braced for death. He waited for agony. He expected to meet the universe. Instead, he burst out laughing, uncontrollably, like a drunk goat falling downstairs. His friends saw him. They wanted in on the madness. Soon everyone in the lab was giggling, rolling on the floor, acting like they invented joy. He realized the gas did not kill people. It made them calm. It made them painless. It made them feel like the world was a cartoon. Doctors later used it for anesthesia. Laughing gas was born from a chemist, doing what every scientist secretly wants to do. Get high for research. Imagine discovering a medical tool because you pressed the wrong vape. Laughing gas became hospital equipment because a man accidentally turned himself into a meme. 14. The potato chip. Invented out of pure spite, here is the pettiest invention in human history. A chef served a wealthy customer fried potatoes. The customer complained, too thick, too soft, too potato. He sent them back like he owned the planet. The chef snapped. He sliced the potatoes as thin as possible. Paper thin. Insult thin. Then he fried them until they were weapons. Hard, crispy, angry. He drowned them in salt. He served them with the emotional energy of choke on it. The customer loved them. He said they were perfect. People started requesting them. The potato chip became a global empire born from pure rage. Imagine inventing a billion-dollar snack because someone left a bad Yelp review. Humanity's favorite comfort food is just a chef's revenge served cold and crispy. 15. Our next invention begins with the #1 rule of chemistry. Do not mix random things. Do not pour stuff together. Do not freestyle the periodic table like you are making soup. One scientist said, I do not care. He mixed chemicals that should never have been in the same zip code. He turned around for 1 second. The mixture went off like it received a message from the gods. A small explosion ripped through the lab. The scientist survived only because the blast had the energy level of a confused firecracker. He looked at the bubbling mess that remained. He realized he had accidentally created fulminate compounds, materials so sensitive that a sneeze could set them off. This became the foundation for modern detonators. Imagine discovering a new explosive because you confused sugar for salt while cooking. The entire demolitions industry owes its existence to a scientist who basically tripped and fell into chemistry. 16. The color purple that turned into a fashion empire by accident. Here is a story of a man who tried to cure malaria. Noble goal? Humanitarian mission. Science for the people. He failed, spectacularly. Instead of medicine, he created a strange purple sludge. Disgusting, sticky, absolutely useless for health. He was ready to throw it away. Then he noticed something. The purple gunk dyed fabric beautifully. Vivid, royal, luxurious. The kind of color only kings and queens used to flex with. He realized he had accidentally invented the first synthetic dye, a color that changed fashion. A color that launched industries, a color so iconic it became a status symbol. All because his attempt at curing malaria turned into a puddle of nightmare paint. Imagine trying to cure cancer and ending up inventing glitter. Purple fashion exists today because one man's medical failure looked pretty on a shirt. 17. The Velcro, inspired by a dog who collected trash. This invention begins with a man taking a peaceful walk in nature. Fresh air, birds singing, everything calm. Then he looks at his dog. The dog is covered in weird plant burrs, completely plastered, like nature decided to turn the dog into a walking trash magnet. Most people would clean the dog and move on. Not this man. He grabbed a microscope. He looked at the burrs. He saw tiny hooks. He saw how they clung to fur. He screamed the scientific version of, "Wait, I can steal this idea." He recreated the hook and loop structure. He tested it. It stuck. It released. It stuck again. Velcro was born. From a dog who rolled in plants like it was a part-time job. Imagine inventing a global fastening system because your pet refused to stay clean. Velcro is basically dog hair technology repackaged for humans. 18. The Slinky invented because someone knocked a spring off a desk. This one is peak physics clownery. A naval engineer was working with tension springs, serious equipment, heavy math, important work. Then he knocked one off the table, by accident, and watched it fall in the most dramatic slow motion ever. The spring did not just fall. It walked. It stepped. It descended like it was escaping captivity. The engineer stared at it. He said nothing. He probably questioned reality. He realized he had just witnessed a toy begging to exist. He refined the design. He tested it on stairs. He tested it on boxes. He tested it on every object in his house. The Slinky was born. Imagine inventing a global childhood toy because you are clumsy. A man dropped his equipment and accidentally created a stair-climbing metal noodle that made millions. 19. The cornflakes born from a panic-cooked disaster. This invention begins with two brothers trying to make healthy food. Wholesome, nutritious, bland enough to disappoint an entire generation. They were cooking wheat. Things got busy. They forgot the pot. Hours later, they came back and found the wheat had gone stale and weird. They should have thrown it out. They did not. They rolled it. It flaked. They baked it. It became crunchy. They tasted it. They said, "This tastes like edible paper." They served it anyway. People liked it. Cornflakes were born from negligence and culinary panic. Imagine burning your dinner and accidentally inventing the breakfast aisle in every supermarket. Cornflakes started as a mistake and somehow became the food people eat when they have given up on joy. The penicillin that came from a dirty desk and a scientist who forgot to clean this one is legendary. A scientist left his petri dishes out, open, exposed, probably growing every form of microscopic nightmare. When he returned after vacation, he noticed something strange. One dish had mold, but around the mold, the bacteria were gone. Wiped out, erased, evaporated like they owed the mold money. He stared at it. He understood what he found. A natural bacteria killer. Accidental antimicrobial power. Penicillin was born from the scientific equivalent of forgetting to do your homework. Imagine discovering life-saving medicine because you did not sweep your room. One messy desk changed world health forever. Humanity was saved by mold. Truly poetic. 21. The plastic that happened because someone wanted to cheat at billiards. This story sounds fake, but it is completely real. People in the 1900s loved billiards. Loved it so much they were running out of ivory for billiard balls. They needed a replacement. So a chemist tried creating a new material. Strong, smooth, solid. What he made instead was a weird experiment that went wrong and exploded loudly when dropped. A loud pop like a gunshot. He hated it. Everyone around him hated it. It scared people in every room it entered. But here is the twist. That popping failure was the earliest version of plastic. A material that would eventually take over the entire world. Not from success. From failure loud enough to startle the lab. Imagine inventing the most used material on Earth because your attempt at making knockoff pool balls kept jump scaring you. The global plastic empire began with a billiards problem and a lab accident that screamed for attention. 22. The rubber that appeared because someone left the fire on our final accident is iconic. A man was trying to fix rubber. It melted too easily. It cracked in the cold. It was unpredictable. It was chaos in material form. He kept experimenting. He kept failing. He kept destroying his lab like it was his personal hobby. One night he dropped a mix of rubber and sulfur onto a hot stove. Accidentally. He braced for disaster. Instead, the rubber hardened. It became solid, stable, useful. He had accidentally discovered vulcanized rubber. The stuff used in tires, shoes, everything flexible. Imagine inventing a world-shaping material because you forgot to turn off the stove. Humanity owes half its daily products to one man who cooked rubber like breakfast. So there you have it. 22 inventions that prove one thing: humanity does not innovate. We trip. We spill. We forget, and somehow the universe rewards us with world-changing technology like we are in a cosmic comedy sketch. Think about it: your kitchen, your clothes, your medicine cabinet. Your entire daily routine exists because someone, somewhere messed up spectacularly. Accidents built the world. Genius just took the credit. Now I have one question for you. Which invention shocked you the most? The edible revenge snack? The medical miracle mold? The dog-inspired clothing fastener? Or the guy who invented rubber while basically burning his house down? Tell me in the comments. I want to see which accidental chaos broke your brain. And if you want more stories about humanity stumbling its way through history, you already know what to do. Hit the button, join the chaos, and remember, the next world-changing invention might be hiding in your next mistake.